Team Trinity, Team Losi, and Novak Electronics, who are the sponsors, present the 1997 IFMAR two-wheel and four-wheel drive off-road worlds. Just east of Los Angeles, California, in the city of Pomona, was the site of the 1997 Off-Road Worlds. It was hosted by the world-famous Ranch Pit Shop. The mornings were usually overcast and the sun appeared around noon. Accommodations at the ranch were excellent. Racers and spectators were provided with plenty of shade and refreshments. The Ranch Pit Shop has been in existence since 1978. It started as an asphalt on-road track. As the years went by, it was eventually filled in with dirt and became a major off-road facility. 150 of the world's top drivers participated in this 8-day event. However, many of these drivers were here way before the start of the Worlds, making sure they had plenty of practice time. Two-wheel drive was scheduled to be the first event and four-wheel drive second. The drivers that participated came from 17 countries, from Europe, Asia, Africa, United States, Australia, just to name a few.
The participants for this race come from the three main blocks of IFMAR. That's the European Federation, EFRA, the American Federation, RAW, and the Far East Federation, FEMCA. And they enter through their federation blocks based on their qualifications in their home countries. So we have 150 people entered for this event from some 17 countries throughout the world. And they come here to race to find the world champion, the IFMAR world champion for electric off-road.
And here is your team from South Africa. There we have Team Hong Kong. And our participants from Belgium. Entering trackside, all the way from Ireland. And our lone participant from Norway. Entering now, two drivers from Denmark. And our team from Japan.
The opening day ceremonies introduced all of the countries that are participating in this event. The driver teams paraded around with banners of their country. These events bring drivers from all around the world together in renewing old friendships and making new ones. There is certainly a camaraderie between these world-class drivers.
I know that this is about racing and about business, but it's also about making friends. So I just want to welcome everybody and good luck.
Monday, August 11th, began with the final round of controlled practice. Each driver ran one practice round against the same 9 cars that would be in their qualifying heats. Qualifying began at about 11 a.m. IFMAR starts were used for qualifying. This is a stagger start, where each driver would start when their car number was called and they would be on their own clock. This allows the drivers to make clean runs of qualifying because they are staggered away from each other.
So this is race number 14 on the course. Race number 15 is in standby. Brian Kingwall, Mark Kavitas, Matt Minto, Neil Pratt, Richard Meredith, Richard Barton, Richard Taylor, Carl Marsden, Alex Guerrero, and Todd Hodge.
Under sunny skies, 4 rounds of qualifying with 15 heats per round were run. The track blue-grooved early, making the lap times quick and consistent throughout the last 3 rounds. Greg Hodap was the first to turn a 13-lap run. He repeated that time once more before the end of the day and was consistently the fastest driver overall.
Less than 20 seconds on the race clock, drivers. Less than 20 on the race clock. Average lap time 24.96. That is a 13-lap pace. As was the case for Matt Francis in round number 3.
All drivers continue running until I call you off.
Hodap is on lap number 13, a new top qualifier as the number 2 working on his final lap. Masami Hirosaka exactly 2 seconds behind Hodap. So that's going to give Masami Hirosaka a very fast 12-lap run in race number 14, round number 4. So Hodap showing that he can go 13 laps. Once again, 13 laps, 5:24 for Greg Hodap.
8 is finished. Hold your position. We have 2 cars.
Masami Hirosaka.
3.
Scott Brown, Brian Kinwald, Matt Francis, and Masami Hirosaka also boasted 13-lap runs. After getting off to a slow start, Brian Kinwald turned the fastest individual time of the day, 13 laps in 5 minutes 23 seconds. At the end of 4 rounds, Greg Hodap was the current TQ, followed by Masami Hirosaka and Brian Kinwald. 1 more qualifying round remains to be run in the morning for a total of 5 qualifying rounds. Once the 5 rounds are completed, each driver's best 3-point scores will be totaled to determine the overall qualifying order.
.83, the average lap time for the number 1 car. Mark Pavitas has dropped down to the 3rd spot.
Everybody continue running. I'll call you off.
And the number 1 is working on lap number 13. Is going to come down to this last lap to see if he takes over the TQ spot. Set by Greg Hodap in the previous race.
9 is finished.
So Kinwald working on his final lap.
10 is finished.
This is going to be his first 13-lap run in qualifying today.
Everybody continue running until I call you off.
So let's check out the time of Kinwald. He comes around with a time of 13 up, 5:23 for a new TQ spot for Brian Kinwald. The last heat of the day, and Kinwald takes a TQ spot.
Hold your position.
And as I was told by Rob Nelson, that was going to give Brian Kinwald a TQ spot for the day. We'll have to check the printout. But we will give you the time.
The 1997 World's Track was designed specifically for this event by Gil Losi Jr.
Well, when we set out to do this track, we knew it could potentially be 110 degrees out here, which is really hard on motors and batteries. So we tried to do something that was not going to be too hard on the motors and batteries, but yet be challenging and and technical both for the drivers and the sponsors, the motor and battery guys. But if you look at the track, I tried to have a lot of on-power, off-power sweepers, on-power and off-power hairpins, jump sections that weren't hard to survive, but hard to do right to go fast. So you definitely saw the skill level of the drivers, and tried to make a track that was patient, that did have some passing zones with double lefts and double rights where you could set up a guy and make passes, and hopefully we accomplished that. And we've been working really hard on trying to get a surface that we could leave dry for an entire week and stay together, which is it's difficult in the 110-degree weather that we have in the summertime. But so far we're getting it to hold up pretty good. a lot of people put in a lot of hours and working the dirt, packing it in. We've used something called calcium chloride in the surface of it to help the water get in and dry out consistently so it stays, you know, in bigger chunks so it doesn't fall apart as bad.
The starting grid was in front of the driver's stand. The cars would go around the first 2 turns and then go through the S. Then turn to go over several jumps. Then turn and go over the stutter bumps. Then turn onto the back straightaway and turn to a single jump. Go through some more smaller jumps and jump over a larger jump with a tabletop to another tabletop and round the corner to the final jump and back to the start-finish line.
Oh, I think the track's beautiful. The track's absolutely beautiful. I mean, the weeks leading up, it would get really rough. I mean, there'd be ruts everywhere, and the Ranch Pit Shop crew did a really good job to keep it all smooth.
In 1982, the International Federation of Model Auto Racing, or IFMAR, was formed. Its mission was to organize World Championship RC racing events, bringing together the world's best RC drivers. Off-Road World events occur every 2 years. The last Off-Road Worlds took place in Japan, where Matt Francis was the 2-wheel champion and Mark Pavidis was the 4-wheel champ.
Well, obviously the win at the World Championships in Japan. That's been my goal, and I finally reached it. So.
Yeah, IFMAR was started back in 1982 by Ted Longshaw and Mike Reedy and I think John Grant, basically to answer a demand to have a world championship for the then 8th gas classes. And as the years went by, they increased the coverage to electric classes first with the track, and then subsequently in 1985 they started the Off-Road World Championships here in Del Mar, California.
Morning, August 12th, started the last round of qualifying. This would be the last chance for the top 10 drivers to better their position. Remember, Greg Hodap has the current TQ.
And 40 seconds left on the race clock. So Wasabi on the rear bumper of Greg Hodap right here. .36 for Hirosaka. Nice sportsmanship by Greg Hodap as he lets Masami Hirosaka get by. Last lap time, 24.9 with a minute left to go. And Hodap not giving up on the course yet as he's on the rear bumper of Hirosaka. Those are your top 2 fastest drivers after 4 rounds of qualifying. 1 and 2. Masami Hirosaka. 30 seconds on the clock, drivers. 30 seconds on the master clock. and 20 seconds. Less than 10 now. And Hirosaka will take over the quick time here. It looks like 12 laps, 5 flat point 0.1, so 100th of a second, missing the TQ. Greg Hodak in the second spot, 5:03. So Masami can hang on to the TQ with one more heat to 24.81 for Kinwald. We have 30 seconds left on the master clock here. Vetus is 3 seconds behind the leader. .6 for Kinwald. Less than 5 seconds on the clock here. 1, 2, and 0. And the one is done. 12 laps, 5 flat point 2.5. So Hirosaka is going to hang on to the TQ position. That's going to put Kinwald into second for this round here. 12 laps, 5 flat point 2.5 for Kinwald. And it looked like Kinwald started to pick it up in the last part of the race. Earlier on in the race, it was going 25.5, 25.
コースも非常にイコールコンディションでやってくれてまして、いつ走っても同じようなコンディションで走れますので、それが一つ良かったことと、それと新しい RC10B2 のもう一つ新しい B3 っていうのを今使ってるんですが、それが非常によく走ってます。
One of the good reasons that he was running good this week was the truck was very consistent. Every time he goes run his car at the track, it's almost the same, so it was very good. And another good reason was the car that he was running was actually B3, which is next to B2 associated, and the car itself is very good.
Masami ended up as the TQ. Hodap took second and Kinwald third. Remember, Kinwald did have the fastest heat of the event, and under the old system he would have been the TQ. Kinwald was also plagued with radio problems earlier in the week.
I started out running 27 band, and there's a lot of Europeans and Japanese guys that have special frequencies and stuff, splits. So there's a lot of radio interference. I started changing, different frequencies on 27 band. None of that helped. Went to 75 megahertz, made a big difference, and then still had a few problems, switch receivers and some other stuff, and pretty much took care of the glitching, and that helped a lot.
This year will mark the first time that IFMAR used a point system. This system is designed to limit the effects of a rocket round of qualifying, where one round of qualifying is much faster than the rest.
The form of qualification this year has changed over previous years. It always used to be based on the single fastest time that a competitor could put up in one single 5-minute race. This had problems when the track conditions change because some rounds would be faster than others. So therefore this year they will qualify on their best 3 results from 5 attempts. Each race is 5 minutes long, plus the time to complete their last lap, and based on that their top 3 scores give them points. The fastest qualifier gets 155 points, the second qualifier 153, and then 1 point deducted all the way down to 150th place. The best 3 scores are added up, and that determines who will start on pole position for the main A final to decide the IFMAR World Champion.
Scoring software was developed by BBK Software. They're out of England. A gentleman by the name of Rob Nelson has worked tirelessly with us on this. We wanted to be able to get the results up and on the internet, onto the internet as soon as possible for the people that couldn't attend the event, so they could kind of follow it along at home, or if they had family at the event, they could follow along, see how their sons, brothers, whatever were doing at the event. So we put in about a month's time prior to the event, worked out to our advantage. We could almost work 24-hour shifts. Rob was in England, I was here. With the time difference, he would do some development, email it over to me. I would get home, check it out, make some changes, email it back to Rob. Worked out really well. And it's been working great. We've been updating the site after every round of qualifying, every round of practice. The results are almost real time. I think Rob's planning on going to another World Championship next year, the On-Road Worlds. By then, I think he may actually be able to do things real time, up